So today is Thursday, September the 12th, and this is the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, and I'm calling this to order. And we will get started with Charles Huber, who will give us our invocation and lead the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's all stand for the prayer. Then we're already up for the pledge. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and for the opportunity for us to gather here as volunteers and staff members, all with one focus and one mission to help this city become a better place for those that live in it and around it. Thank you for the many blessings you've given us in our lives, for the recent rain. Please bless us as we move forward through this meeting and throughout our journeys in this role, that we may have your spirit to guide us. Please be with the members of our community, our state, and our nation and world who work in service to others as teachers, firefighters, police, EMT, and all of the many other armed forces that help protect us. We say these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. All right. Flags on this side. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right, thank you. So I don't see any visitor here, but is there anybody that needed to say something during the visitor forum? Okay, and so we'll look at the minutes from June the 6th. And does anybody have any corrections to those minutes?
Make a motion to accept minutes as presented.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
So they've been approved. And so we are going to move into our information discussion, and we're going to change 3B to 3A. So our projects update with Malcolm is going to come first, and then we'll do a public art after that.
Run through three projects real quickly with you. As you know, the HEB Tennis Center is under construction, and the challenge we've had early in the project was rain. And whenever we're dealing with an excavation project, it even includes a lot of drainage. It just added to our time associated with the project. But let me run through real quickly kind of where we are today. As a reminder, it's a $1.75 million renovation. We're addressing primarily the site needs associated with the project. We've got a few improvements that will make the tennis center play better and also be more attractive for tournaments. But primarily what we're doing is getting ready for some future improvements that could include a covered pavilion and some other things. But the site has a lot of drainage issues, infrastructure challenges, and that's primarily what we're spending our money on. We're about 40% complete at this time. Our original goal was to have the project completed by the end of the calendar year. Now we're looking at the first part of the 2020. The retaining walls that are some of the heavier construction you can see there on the left slide. Those are some of the heavy lifting projects associated with the contractor's work, and we're almost complete with those. You can see new fence posts going in. Some of the problems with the tennis center have been undersized the fence posts, 2-inch posts, and they've bent over the years with wind, and so a lot of those are getting upgraded. The scheduling challenge for the city has been how to work through booked tournaments, both in the fall and into the spring. Spring is really the busy time because of the school activities with tennis. So our goal is to have the tennis center available for those tournaments that mostly get booked starting in February. So we want to be done by then. All the tournaments that were booked this fall have been either moved to the courts that are available. We still are leaving some of the courts available for public play, or to other facilities here in town at schools and other locations. So it's not too much of a problem during the fall, but once we get in the spring, we do become to have a challenge. Let's see here. Come on, there we go. The River Trail project, there's two updates on that. One, at your last board meeting, we had the board look at and you approved a modification to the master plan for the trail, which was approved by City Council also after that. And that will take the project from G Street to downtown on the north bank. But right now, we're constructing or about to start construction on the north bank from G Street east to Shriner University. And that project is funded at $1.5 million. We, since the last board meeting, we received bids, which came in very favorable. So we're in good shape to get that project done within the budget. The Shriner participation in this is very critical to this project because it gives us our first trailhead on the north side of the river, and it's actually going to be on the campus. And if you know the campus, there's a outdoor pavilion that exists, and that's where the trailhead will be near that location. The university is going to allow public access to the trailhead, both from the pedestrian standpoint and also vehicular to the parking lot that's going to be at the trailhead, and that's very important. The university will also provide two other important things. One is $50,000 cash, which is good, and they will be constructing a restroom near the trailhead that will serve that trailhead, and that's totally at their cost, and they're about to start construction on that probably within the next month or so. So those are going to be very good additions to the trail because it does get us on the north side of the river, and then that then starts to set up the trail master plan as more of a loop system on both sides of the river. We have, as with all segments of the trail, we have to get easements. We have 6 private property easements that we have in hand already today, so we've secured those. The last easements we have to get are with the university. We have real estate easements on their campus. The university also owns the perimeter of the cemetery there by 27, which is good news. So we're able to run the trail along that perimeter, and they own some property on the south side of 27 next to the river, and that also makes that a good strategic situation for us because they're a partner in this project. We don't see there being any issues with us negotiating the final terms on those easements or a license agreement that we're also going to get. It's going to be very similar to what we've done with the Dietert Center and the Riverside Nature Center. We just haven't gotten those finished yet. We haven't gotten the $50,000 check yet, which we won't get until we get those agreements done. But we don't want to start construction until we have those in hand. So we will wait until all of the I's are dotted and T's are crossed with Shriner before we give the contractor the go-ahead. Our contractor for that project is Bernhard Construction, local contractor. They're also the contractor doing the tennis center. So anytime we can get a local contractor, that's much better for us.
Is there a hold up on the
That's good. That's good, Martin. The next project is not very beautiful right now, but we have a kind of a joint project with the Upper Guadalupe River Authority to put a rain catchment system in at the Louise Hayes Park Group Pavilion. That project has been completed as far as the guttering, piping, and tank installation. The UGRA contributed a $10,000 grant to this project. The total project so far is about $35,000. But what it includes is putting a guttering system on the pavilion, piping underground to a tank location that is over behind the restroom near the playground. So it's a pretty good run with underground piping. That tank, which you see there in that photo, is complete. It's great to catch the water, but now what are you going to do with the water? So the follow-up projects that the city will be doing some wall work around this tank just to get it look a lot better. Putting in an irrigation system in this area of the park, and then landscaping. The area to be landscaped is really between the pavilion and the apartments that are on Park Street, to create a buffer there for the residents, because there are some times when the pavilion activity is a little loud and the cars are a little bright at night. So one of the things that the neighborhood has wanted is to have a little evergreen buffer screen there with landscaping, and then we'll landscape that into the park as well, around the restroom and then over by the playground. So that's how the water will be used. But we don't see those other phases that the city will be doing probably until sometime in 2020. So that's the status of those. Does anybody have any questions on any of these? We do expect the River Trail project to kick off probably in October.
Is there a specific negotiating holdup on the Schweiner?
No, we had a meeting with them a couple of months ago to go through the list of to-do items. There were no issues there. We had a meeting scheduled last week with them, but at the last minute it had to be canceled. They had another issue come up, and we just haven't rescheduled that. But I see us having one good comprehensive meeting with them, working through what we perceive to be the issues, wordsmith those at the meeting, get that typed, get it signed by both boards, and be done with it.
And does that have to go back to the city council?
No, it doesn't. Well, the license agreement depends on the terms of that license agreement. It has a good chance of going back to council. An easement wouldn't, but the license agreement would. So let me correct my statement there. The license agreement, which is the business terms associated with it, like who's going to take care of the restrooms, who's paying the light bill, those types of things, those would go back to council. And we just haven't gotten all those identified yet. As far as the real estate piece of it, the easements, the $50,000 contribution, those have already been approved.
May I have a question on these three? I have one more question, but it's not on these three.
Purely self-serving, how recent were your tennis picture photos?
I'm sorry?
The photos from the tennis center, how recent are those?
Yesterday.
Yesterday?
Those are,
okay, thank you.
Those are new. We had, if you look on the bottom photo, you see a little mud track. We were able to test out some of the drainage swales yesterday. It wasn't a volume rain, but it was a hard, fast rain. And so we were able to tell kind of where we might have a few challenges with some of the drainage. But where that retaining wall is on the left slide, no more than 3 weeks ago, that was a swimming pool. It was a lake. And it's been very hard. Every time it would rain, that lake would fill up because they had to excavate for all this. So that was a real big slowdown on the project. But they're out of the muck now, and they should be able to move pretty quick.
Because, like I said, it's purely self-serving. I hadn't been by to see how it's progressing.
Yeah, and it's easy to access. If you do go in there, try to find a Bernhard construction person or a city inspector, and they'd be more than helpful to escort you in if you want to see it. So tell them who you are and what you do. The one other last thing I forgot on the Rain Catchment Center, there's going to be a gathering. UJRA wants to have a little media event, so I'm sure the Parks Board will be invited to that. We're not sure when that's going to be, but it will be before your next quarterly board meeting.
I had a question about the aquatics feasibility study, so that's going to come from you. Okay.
What's next?
Okie dokie.
Great. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Malcolm.
Thank you, Malcolm.
Okay, so an update on the aquatics feasibility study. Since we last met, we did receive our forensic study results that we did, and those came back very favorable. It basically said that the bones of the pool, for being 50 years old, is very good. It's in great shape. It can actually be reused if we want to reuse it with this project, with some renovations if we choose to do so. So that's excellent news. We did find, as suspected, that the pool needs to be replastered. Throughout the summer, we had a lot of the plaster coming up. Some of the actual concrete is exposed on the pool, so we're actually moving forward with that project. If you go by the pool now, it's actually in the middle of the draining process, and our contractor will be on site next week to begin that project. We expect to receive the full feasibility study report back from our consultants in the next week or two. They're wrapping up some of the details on that, and then we'll get that back. We'll look at it. We have some initial kind of conversations with them once they came back with, you see the bottom right photo, that's the picture, that's the concept that the public majority voted on and would like to see. And that project cost came back at about $25 million. We know we can't afford that, so what we've asked them to do is something similar to the top photo, maybe with some different scope to it. You might see a little bit of a different picture once we present the final project recommendation, but essentially asking them to do something that we can phase into. If we can heat the pool year round, can we cover it? Can we do some building additions, building improvements? First thing, of course, we need to do is address all the maintenance issues. With our forensic study, it came back that the pump room, as expected, needs to be replaced, updated, brought up to code. So we'll need to take care of all of the maintenance issues and code issues, and then focus on the remainder of the project. So after we get our recommendation back, we will take it back to the public and let the public see it and have the ability to provide input on it. We likely won't provide any more changes after that. We're just kind of presenting the project and saying this is what we plan to do, and then kind of go forward from there, see how we can afford to pay for this.
Are you still thinking like a bond vote or anything like that?
I don't know at this point. I know that's the direction that we're going towards. I don't think that's the direction that council's wanting to go forward with now. We did issue debt for streets and drainage, but I don't believe at this point we're looking for a November bond election. I think we're going to try to do this with possibly some EIC dollars and see how we can afford to do this as we go without issuing a lot of debt.
Okay.
Any questions on the aquatics feasibility study?
So what is the cost for the new concept? The top picture.
The top picture,
Yeah.
so that one would roughly be between $8 and $9 million.
Oh, it's a bargain.
Yeah, pools are very expensive. They're very expensive to do, and so the top concept would be heating the pool, doing all the maintenance issues, bringing it up to code, replacing all the pump room and decking equipment, putting the bulkhead in for swim and competitive swim. The kind of the ghost picture to the left is potentially maybe a lazy river, and then additional children's area, slides, and some major building improvements. But this would be an outdoor, year-round heated pool, is what you would get with this. Kind of the mid-range type project. So, again, our consultants are reworking some things, and then we'll bring it back to you when it's final.
So if it's year-round, that's staffing and everything.
No dog day then.
No dog day.
We could still probably do something. We just have to make sure it's treated properly.
Of
course.
Yeah.
So, okay. Any further questions?
Is there a possibility to add phases in there, like doing certain part of it and then coming back with the next part?
Yeah, that's what I said. We're looking at phasing to see what we can do to afford. We know we can't afford all of it at once, to see what we can tackle first and then what we can add and phase over the years.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. Turn it back over to the board.
I don't know who's in charge of the public art. Who's making that presentation?
I think it was Miss Abels that asked for this item to be back on the agenda. I can run through a couple of slides. Mr. Jesse actually sent me a couple of preliminary concepts of what he spoke about at the last meeting that he would be willing to do under the bridge. So something like this is what we've talked about, doing some public art on the walls. If you want to further explain kind of your thought process here.
I mean, we just kind of found some art online. We didn't really get anything specific, just to put some images on the walls. I mean, we got some ideas of what we want to do. As far as the first one goes, we've sought out a couple of local artists, and we're still working on with them as far as what we can put down there. But we were thinking, some very vibrant colors, type of artwork. So, but it all depends on the artist and what the board will approve or the parks would approve. But any one of those walls where we put them, I think would work pretty good. I mean, that one right there is the one that's, people walk in front of a lot. So that's what we were thinking, starting off on and then moving from there.
My concern was you put something beautiful like that, and I had just the day before been walking on the river trail after the night before the graffiti people had gone crazy and had graffiti everywhere. And is it beyond reason to think that we could put some of those motion activated cameras under there?
It's just an expense.
I know.
Yeah, and with those, it would be more of an after the fact type of thing.
Yeah.
Similar to what we do in the plaza. Nobody monitors them, but if there's an issue, we can go back and look at them and see what we can help police investigate.
Yeah,
Just a thought to keep
the
in mind.
reason it's up high like that, it was my idea to put it up, 7-8 feet. So, if somebody's going to tag it, they got to get a ladder down there or something.
Or stand on the roof of their truck.
Well,
Can't get a vehicle down there.
the rocks right there will stop that from happening.
All right, good.
But, it's all whatever you guys think. I mean, I'm willing to do it. I guess I can get you some artist renderings and then send them over to you, and then whatever y'all approve. We got a few already that we've been working on that are, really colorful. And, I've been trying to think of whether we're going to do like a Kerrville theme. I know, like I've seen in Comfort on the side of their building right next to the post office, it says, welcome to Comfort. And I see a lot of people taking pictures next to that. So I kind of thought maybe we can do something like that where people can stand under it and it says welcome to Kerrville or something like that. So we're working on some artwork for that. And we're doing that in-house. So, and then of course there's other stuff where other artists have, done stuff already, and we're talking to them about using their artwork, and they don't want any money. They just want the recognition. That's all. Of who did it and whose artwork it is. But
That'd be really neat.
yeah, so it's just I'll get her some better renderings with some actual artwork, and it's not going to be a square like that. It's going to go to the shape of the way the pillar, the rounded edges goes. If you can kind of see where it goes, but it is going to be a little bit higher up, so it makes it harder for somebody to, put spray paint on it. But even still, the material we use has a layer of lamination on it that can be wiped off. You can use chemicals to wipe it off, and it won't hurt the print underneath. So
that's what this is. This is you do the print, and then you put it onto the concrete.
yes,
With a protective layer.
exactly.
And what's the adhere? How does it adhere? Does it start?
It's an adhesive back material.
And does that last pretty long, or does it?
It's hard to tell
eventually-
as long as we treat the concrete
the concrete
beforehand.
first.
Yeah, it's just like paint. You got to put some I guess it's like a concrete blocker to keep the moisture in the concrete from
Right.
Pushing the paint off.
Right.
So it's the same process. I mean, the adhesive is pretty aggressive.
You just have to treat it,
Exactly.
prepare it correctly, and
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, and I've done it before, but they were temporary things, so it's kind of hard to say. The manufacturer says 10 years on it, but it's hard to tell. Plus, it's under the shade all the time, so it might last quite a bit longer than we expect, so.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So, I had a question. You probably are working on your brochure for 2020, and I don't know if you've come up with a tagline, but it would be really cool to incorporate that tagline in these, because I know, like you were talking about in Comfort, they have that peace, love, and comfort, and I've done tons of selfies with other people on that one, and so to have your parks tagline on some of these would be awesome.
My addition to that was lighting,
Yeah.
kind of similar to what they have in Waco on their bridge. I have looked through different cities on lighting on their bridges. Some of them can be very minimal, some of them can be really elaborate. I just think that our bridge kind of is a little dull in the evenings, then if we added some of that lighting under there, that it would really help bring it out.
Regarding the artwork, is there a direction or a vision that that y'all would like to discuss and maybe provide back to Jesse so he can take it and run with it?
My initial thing was using some of our local artists, not even artists themselves, but the schools. Some of the school art programs to make it a project for the schools, have more inclusion from our community.
This is such a huge one, though. I like the idea of having an expert over here in charge of it and doing it and getting everything done. If you could use some school artwork, have a contest with the kids or something.
Well, even if I had them do something, you know, on small canvas or whatever, and you know, we can digitize that and you know, straighten some stuff
I think
out.
that's a good idea.
That type of thing. I mean,
Good
that's
idea.
I didn't think of that one, but that'd be good.
Yeah,
I might
that,
reach out to the high school art and see if they got
An honor that
some
would
ideas.
we had a student once do those of you that are old could remember that in the old gym, it's now at the junior high, that had this monumental antler blasting to looking like it's blasting to, you remember. It was wonderful, and the student that won the prize to be able to do that went on to a great career. So it's a neat thing to bring attention and.
Yeah, I'll work on that part then. I can probably do that with the local high school.
I love the idea of the colors, like really bright colors, and I like the fish or the
me
water
too.
kind of concept, you know, that goes along with the river. So
What
it could be fish and or geese.
Yeah.
Deer.
What lots of geese. What happens when it floods?
Well, then again, like I said, it's quite a few feet up. So I mean, if it floods, it gets to that point, then yeah, I mean, it's going to take out pretty much everything in its path anyway. So
Well, I've seen it 6 feet below that bridge.
yeah, so I mean, we hope that it doesn't happen, but I don't know if it does. And you know, it's,
any kind of
but it it can be replaced. You know, it's not
Yeah,
one of
you'll
those things
have the
where-
print and slap it up there again.
Exactly.
What kind of cost do you think? I mean, have you tried to look at what the cost would be for from the manufacturer of something this large?
I think I priced it out, but it's it's right around the $7,000 or $8,000 range. If I were to do it for, a company that wanted something that size on something that a project like that would be about that cost. But because it's all my type thing, my cost is very. It's still up there, but it's not as significant as $7,000 or $8,000.
And that's for each pillar, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, for each pillar. For each. And then would that include installation, or is that?
Exactly. No, that's everything. Turnkey, design, install, and maintenance type thing.
And so where in the budget do you have that kind of money? Like where would you have a place that that sort of stuff comes out of?
We do.
But something like that would be more like us doing the first one. and then getting other people to actually pay for it or sponsor
Right,
it.
sponsorship.
Yeah, and then they get a plaque at the bottom or something that we can put, on it and saying that, was donated by this company or something like that. That way the cost doesn't come out of the Parks and Rec at all.
Yep.
But
I think that's right. Once you do one, and it opens up people's imagination.
exactly,
And then,
yeah.
And we're talking about someday doing both sides, or do we just do?
Well, I was even thinking of doing the middle one where the water's at.
Yeah.
The only thing is figuring out how to get up there to do it.
yeah.
Because I think that would be really neat. Like in the middle of the water, they're gonna be like, "Well, how did that even get done?" So
When you
Well, and
figure
then,
it
of
out,
course, if
we're
you
all
can-
for it.
I'll get
Go
some
to a
ropes and hang up there.
sponsorship,
Ooh, I like
sponsorship deal. There has to be guidelines and how much
I was just gonna say.
insight somebody has, and and say over what kind of art. I think that the city still needs to have control over the designs,
What?
keep the themes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You don't want to turn them into billboards.
No.
Well, or you don't want to. You want everything in keep. In the same kind of keeping. You want a nay, a yay or nay, that isn't attached to the money. That the money comes in, but they don't necessarily. I mean, they can't put a picture of their, dog.
I think it would be the
Guide
same
or
process
whatever,
as we did with Lupe. Submission of different art, and then we'd have to go through it and discuss it.
Yeah.
What was the final cost for the fish? The garlic we
Total project, including installation and site work, was about 24,000.
did? Can we spend that much again this year?
No, not unless we have a sponsor.
So what do you need from the board, to help move this forward?
I think at this point, just the conversation we had today, a little bit of vision and discussion back for Jesse, so he can go back and do some design. I think when he's ready, he can present it to us at a staff level, and then we can bring it to the board and let the board vote on it. I would like y'all's stamp of approval on it before we move forward with it, and then I would like to present it to council to get their approval as well.
Exactly.
This is awesome.
I guess it's inappropriate for the Heard you can't move if you don't like
No,
it.
they can't.
So, Director Ashley, would you like to give your report?
Before I get started, I'd like to introduce some of our key staff. I know some of y'all know our team, some of you do not, but these guys are really the heavy lifters on all of our programs and activities that we do. So I'd like to introduce Rosa Ledesma. She's our Parks and Recreation Specialist, and she supervises our two coordinators. We have Courtney LaQuay, which is our Tourism and Event Coordinator. We also have Connor Olden, which is our Recreation Coordinator. These guys came on in December 17th, so they're still fairly new, but they've done a great job, and Rosa's been here for a couple of years now. Started off at the pool, seasonal type staff, lifeguarding, all that great stuff. Competed on the guard team and has worked her way up as well, and is doing great on leading this crew. So these are your team. These are the folks that'll be reaching out to y'all, asking for help for events and programs and leagues and volunteers and all that good stuff. So I just really wanted to be able to make sure y'all put names and faces together, and that y'all know each other. So I'll kind of go in from that. Okay, an update on our FY20 budget process. The City Council approved the first reading of the ordinance adopting the budget this week. The second reading and the adoption is scheduled for September 24th. And once that's adopted, our FY20 budget will be approved and it'll be effective, and our fiscal year starts October 1st. Enhancements to our particular department for FY20 include addition of funding for an assistant director of Parks and Recreation. This is a position that's kind of been in and out of our department, was eliminated, brought back, eliminated, kind of reorganized. And this is something that with the growth of our department over the past several years, we've really identified the need for this position. So it was funded at half a year for FY20. So we'll get moving on, getting some recruitment there. The golf department is being moved under Parks and Recreation.
Again.
So the golf pro will be reporting to me. And
Does that mean the golf board stays as a golf board, or?
I'm not sure. We haven't thought through that yet. So they do have their own board. I'm not sure if it's going to stay, go away, combine, how that's going to work, but we'll work through that. So
I
that's
remember when it was all, when I first got on the board 24 years ago or whatever, the, you know, the golf was underneath, and all we did was talk about golf. Like the and I remember I sat there one time and it's like, can we talk about parks? It's like, well, this is a big park. And I'm like, yeah. So anyway, and it was good when it's separated, you know, because the concerns are different. And so my recommendation would be to keep them separate.
Yeah, that's good feedback. I think the first year as we move through this transition is going to be a lot of me kind of evaluating the operations in the department. Right now it operates in the red. We want to get it operating in the black, make some changes, and get it to where it's making money. So I think this will be a positive change. We are enhancing our activity programming, which I will discuss here in a little bit. That picture there is this crew right here in their mermaid tails. Not really.
I was like, wow.
We're doing a new mermaid program at the pool next summer that Rosa's going to be leading up.
Oh, fun.
And then we are increasing some of our fees at Kerrville Shriner Park. It's important to note that we are very much in line with the state park system, and a lot of parks actually cheaper, but we're very competitive in our rates. So we evaluated that. We did a market analysis, and we made the recommendation to raise fees. And that park does operate in the black. It does make money.
So your yearly fee is increasing again?
The annual fee?
Uh-huh.
No, the annual fee's not. Just some of them.
Okay.
Yeah, like the
Like
RV sites and like the ranch house and the rec hall, things like that. But our annual fee, we increased that pretty significantly last year, and we're not touching it.
I was gonna say, wow.
Not day use or annual fee. Okay, so a couple of things I kind of wanted to point out with our budget. We have some major initiatives that are new as of FY19 or new as of FY20. In the green, you will see those initiatives. We have a River Festival, Fall Family Picnic. We have a Mother-Son Dance we're going to do. We have a Holiday 5K. We have a Ghoul Pool, which is going to be a haunted house of the pool, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Like the Island and basketball. So all of those are new within the last 2 years, and several of them are actually new in FY20. Special events, out of these 20 special events, we do a lot in the community. So kind of when you guys hear, oh, there's nothing to do, there's nothing for kids to do, please kind of point them our direction. We have a lot that we do. We do 20 special events, and out of those series, you know, those aren't counted separately. They're counted as one. And if you notice, all of the ones in green are free. Free admission, free to come to attend. And so that means that 70% of what we do and what we offer to the community for our special events is free. That's something that we've heard strongly through the Kerrville 2050 comprehensive planning process. We've heard from the community it's what works. Events have tried concerts with paid admissions. It just doesn't work in Kerrville. We know the community likes, you know, the opportunity to come to free events, and we love putting them on. So,
well, it's hard to, you know, when you got a great big park, that was weird when they had it all fenced off because of the admission. It just, I don't know, it just steps into the...
Yeah, Kerrville is very unique, you know, and we figured out that if we, you know, you don't charge an admission fee, excuse me, you tend to be more successful. People will tend to come in there and be more willing to spend money in food and drinks and merchandise or kids rides or whatever it is if there's not a cover charge to get in the event. So it makes it a little bit more inclusive.
And the brochure, the catalog, I mean, it's a magazine at this point that you, I have to say, we're almost out of that whole box that I got because I hand them out to everybody. I hand a lot of them out in Fredericksburg. When people come in there wanting to know what to do with their kids. And I hand them this magazine, I say, go to Kerrville.
It's great.
I mean, there's not much to do with your family, and once you do Enchanted Rock in Fredericksburg, there's really, you know, there's a lot of wineries and restaurants, but you gotta, you know, some kids, that's not really conducive to that.
Right. Yep. And we're actually in the middle of designing our activity guide for FY20. We're growing in pages again, so it's going to be a big production publication, and it's, you know, it's going to be, I think, even bigger and better than this year. And I think this year's was a huge success on the design and the reception of it. So aquatics, some stats on the summer operations. We opened Memorial Day. We stayed open until mid-August, so that resulted in about 72 days. A total attendance was a little over 14,000, and trending wise, June tends to be our most popular month. Summer just gets out, people are ready to get in the pool, and then it starts drifting down towards July, and August, of course, we're only open for a couple of weeks, but we did stay open all the way up until school started.
And did that feel like it was worth it? I'm just curious as how.
Our attendance, I mean, as you can see here in August, we had a little over 2,000 people. Yeah, 2291. So I would say, depending on what your goal is, if you're looking to make revenue, no, pools don't make money, and we certainly did not make money for what we have to pay our lifeguards and to operate with for August. It just depends on how you want to look at it. If you're looking to provide a service to the community and for something for them to do, then it's beneficial. If you're looking at a cost and expense point of view, then I would say no.
You still went up between 2019 and 2018 in August. It's still, and I think you were open longer in 2018 as well, those extra 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and so maybe
I think people are still kind of getting used to the fact that we are open. So we'll evaluate. We'll do it again this summer. And evaluate and look and see if we still want to continue to operate this way.
Actually, with our brochures that you're putting together with all of the wonderful things the Parks Department does the CVB help with the cost of printing those?
They do. They do, yeah. That money is tied to hotel motel tax, and some of what we do with our events and programs and our river trail and Kerrville Shriner Park qualifies for that. They can't pay for all of it, but they can pay for a portion of it.
Great.
How about the fees that, for the aquatics, for the Olympic pool? Attendees' fees.
What about them?
Have those been evaluated in the past years?
Yes, we have played with the fees over the past few years. I don't have that slide here with me today, but I can send you those statistics. When I first got here in 2008, we charged $2 to get in. A few years later, we were in a recession. Our finance department asked us to increase it to $3, and our attendance significantly dropped. And then we operated that way for a couple of years, and then we dropped it to $1, and then our attendance started skyrocketing. So what we found from the public is they're very willing to pay $1, but once we start going up to $2, anything past that, for our facility the way it is today, is our attendance starts to drop.
Back to the August deal, how many weeks of August were you open?
2.
2. So the daily attendance was pretty consistent.
Yeah, mainly weekends is the majority of our crowd. Our rentals for the pool, we had 20 pool rentals, 25 pavilion rentals, and that was essentially, if you look at the statistics there at the bottom, since 2016, we have increased our rental revenue 205%, and from last year we increased 3% for rental revenue. So that's always an opportunity that we're looking to help increase revenue. You can rent the pool on the weekends, and then you can also rent that pavilion during the day, and then we have shade structures at the pool that you can rent during the day as well. Group swim lessons. This is Rose's program. It's very successful. As you can see at the very bottom, our percentage of participation was at 92%. So we were 92% full for our entire program throughout the year, and that was an increase over last year. So this is a very successful program. I think our capacity rates was from several years ago, like running at 60 or 70%. So she's done an excellent job of increasing the quality of these programs and getting people to come back. Private swim lessons, we had 37 this year. This is a still fairly new program. I think it's our 3rd year to offer this. We increased from 29 from last year, so that's about a 21% increase. And then we doubled our private swim lessons, semi-private swim lessons offering. We went up to 6 from 3 last year. So this is something that is really becoming a revenue generator for us, and it's really starting to take off.
We need the Kids Try flyer up, like at the beginning of the summer when you start swim lessons.
Lap swim and water aerobics. Lap swim, we had 168 participants this summer. That's a 22% increase from last year. Water aerobics, 456 participants, which was a 9% decrease in participation from last year. And the water aerobics is actually run through the Designate Center. We are the host. So if they do their membership there, they come into that program for free. And same thing too, if you have a Dieter membership pass, you get to swim during lap swim for free. We held junior lifeguard camp. Again, this year, it's our second year to offer it. We had 11 participants. I think we had 10 last year. So that's a 10% increase from last year. We max out at 16, so we still have a little bit more room for enrollment, but this is a very successful camp and something that we've been really excited to offer.
And is the goal of that, one of the goals of that is to feed into your lifeguard pool? Is that so that you can continue to be able to hire?
Exactly.
Have people leave?
So if you notice, the ages are from 10 to 14. We start hiring at age 15. So our goal is to spark their interest and to exactly right, feed into our program so we can hire staff in the future. And they do learn everything that the lifeguards learn. They learn CPR, they learn first aid, they just don't get certified in it. So it's very interesting. We exceeded both of our operational audits for this summer. We exceeded one last year and got, I think, a meets on the second one. But this year we exceeded both of them, which is the highest score you can possibly obtain for safety. Our lifeguard company comes in and puts our staff through rigorous training and tests and then gives them the corresponding score to go along with that.
It's amazing to see the numbers compared to.
Yeah.
Are there any of these that came through the junior program?
No, we just started last year, so they weren't. I don't think any of them were old enough.
We do have a ton of them that are second and third year guards. We had a lot of people come back.
Cool.
They love the pool and what we do there.
Yeah. I suspect we'll start seeing those junior lifeguard kids roll on through the next 2 or 3 years. Our competitive lifeguard team, Rosa did a great job coaching the team this year. They placed first at the Central Texas. They qualified at the state competition. And then we had one team this year, which was also one of the teams that competed last year as well. So we're very proud of them. Our Olympic pool promotions, this is something that we did last year as well. We do promo days. So like, for example, Father's Day, if you get in free, if you come with a paid child's admission. We offered some family swim nights. We did a dive-in movie. We did 2 swim nights this year, very successful, 95 at our first one, 110 at the second one. You pay $2, you get hot dogs, chips, and a drink, and you get to swim for a couple hours, and then we have games there as well. We had 85 participate in our July 4th promo day, and they received free ice cream with their admission. Our dive-in movie was the first time we've ever done this year at the pool. Made me really nervous, but Rosa and staff did a great job of making sure that the lifeguards could see through the water with the lighting, and that also the lighting was okay for the movie screen. So we had 150 show up. It was free, and just another free, wonderful event that we provide for our community.
Yeah, that's cool.
We held our skateboard competition in June. We had 23 children participate, which I think is our highest number to date. People traveled as far as Austin, and we had people coming from San Antonio and Bernie and from out of town just to come compete in this event. So pretty cool. 4th of July fireworks, of course, was also a huge success for those of you that went. We're approximating 8,000 to 10,000 attended the event. Mamacitas is once again sponsored this for 10 years. Provided the fireworks show, and they're already committed to doing next year's fireworks display as well. So we, if you see them, if you see Haji, or if you go to Mamacitas, please thank them and for their huge contribution. This is over $100,000 that he's contributed over the past few years.
Should we do some kind of a presentation to him?
We did. We've done one at Parks Board. We've done things in the paper. I believe we invited him to come to a city council meeting. But I think we'll work there. He's kind of shy, so he likes more behind the scenes kind of recognition. So I think he was pretty satisfied with what we did this year.
And is that growing, or is it about the same, or?
The attendance is growing. Yeah, I think last year's event, you can see kind of a crowd shot before it gets dark, was one of kind of the biggest events that the 4th has done. This is not our event, and we support it, but we contract this one out, but we do handle the fireworks directly. Movies in the Park series, another series that has grown. So this is all of our list for 2019. We had 6 movies, and then we are also starting up a Halloween movie series that we are doing this year. So we have 4 movies. We put a poll on Facebook, asked the community to vote on which ones they wanted us to show, and then we selected the movies based on those results. So again, those were the ones in the summer were completely covered by sponsorships between the Callow Foundation and the Bosworth Company.
And what does that mean for like your team? Y'all are doing so many events.
Mhm.
Like, are those hard to put on? Do they?
They're after hours and they're different.
I guess it kind of depends on what event.
I mean, like the movies in the park. Does that
It
take a lot of
runs very
energy?
smoothly.
They're
You
smooth.
put up everything you need to put up, and then after that, it kind of just rolls with it.
The concert series and the movies are we consider them small events. They're very easy to do. It only takes a couple of staff. Larger events like Get Outdoors Day or Riverfest, that's not something that we want to do, 20 times a year. Those are huge events. But these are more manageable. They do get overtime. We do have schedule changes too. So we work through their schedules. So we feel with the amount of staff that we have that we're comfortable with the amount of events that we do.
A lot.
Yeah, we do a lot.
You do.
Get Outdoors Day, this one was held in June. We had about 1,500 attendees. We're looking at how we can enhance this event. This is the one that I think I've talked to you before with people saying, oh, don't do it in June, it's too hot. Of course, it is the national day that all the parks do it on the same day, but we're in Texas. Texas tends to be a little hotter. We tried it in the morning, didn't really work. Tried it in the afternoon, didn't really work. So we're reevaluating this to see if we want to keep it on this day or if we want to move it from a national day and do a kind of a Kerrville's Get Outdoor Day. So we're reevaluating that, but I think that one has a lot of opportunity as well. Concerts by the River has grown since last year. It grew from 2 concerts to 5. All of them are covered with sponsorships. So great job to Courtney on that event and series. And our last one will be at the end of this month on the 20th. Kids Triathlon. Thanks very much to Lisa for all of her hard work for the last 24 years. We had the most participants we've ever had this year, and we couldn't have
Actually,
done it
we're
without you.
87.
Yeah.
You didn't count the teams as 3. You just counted the teams as 1. We added a team category. Apparently in 2018, a mom asked me if I would do that, and I told her I would, and I forgot, and she came with teams, and we did it anyway, yeah.
Yeah. So, the Wet and Wag was held the same day. Again, another successful event. We had 42 pups this year, and it's the most dogs that we've ever had. Free admission. You just have to show us proof of your rabies vaccination. And then Dogology in Fredericksburg actually sponsors, and that's part of, if you see that picture, that's actually what their sponsorship bag looked like. It's a very high quality bag that they provide for us. So
The dogs get swag.
our Kerrville River Festival. Can I see a show of hands of who attended the event? All right, so a couple of you guys. This was the first time we've offered this event. We were given direction by our city council a few months ago and given a budget and said, hey, go put on this event, go put on this concert. And so we kind of scrambled around. And this is Courtney's event and Rosa did a lot of heavy lifting on this too, but I think we really should give her, both ladies, a round of applause because this event was very successful. It was also the celebration of the city's 130th birthday. So a couple days before the event, I kind of bombarded staff and said, hey, let's make these marquee lights. Go do it. So Rosa and Courtney and Connor and Justin all pulled together and made these lights. They cut them out. They put ping pong balls on the lights to make them look like a marquee sign. Yeah. So very minimal cost, but kind of a big impact. The mayor and the council announced on stage at the event. They lit the marquee. They announced Bart Crow, which is our headliner. And then we also had fireworks at the end of the event to top it off too. And these are some of the photos of our performers that we had this year.
Were you able to get sponsorship at that late date, or?
We did.
I mean, was it?
Want to talk about sponsors?
We had a few sponsors. We had actually a lot of donation materials, like the bounce houses were donated for the event. The generator kind of donated to the event. So there wasn't a lot of cash funds donated, which is what.
But in kind.
Sort of in kind. Shriner University was a huge help with that. But everyone else, I mean, we got what we could. And everyone else was just really supportive and excited to be a part of something to kind of just celebrate Kerrville.
I think Shriners between their monetary contribution and their in-kind was about $11,000 worth between both. They did all of our banners. It helped us advertising. They did a lot of stuff for the event. James Avery provided cash. The YO and the End of the Hills provided a lot of hotel rooms for the bands and that too. So we had, for the amount of time that we had in our budget, staff did an excellent job. I think it was successful. So this is another one that we're reevaluating. Do we want to keep it in September? Do we want to move it to a cooler month? We have a bigger budget next year, so we'll be able to have a year to plan this one. So, but we do need help with raising sponsorships for that event. This Saturday we have our River Roadster show. We tried this last year but got rained out, so this will technically be our first year as long as the weather holds out. This is Connor's event. It'll be held at Louise Hayes Park starting at 4. Again, free admission. Anybody that has a show vehicle, doesn't have to be a car, it can be a motorcycle, a truck, whatever. Bring it in, park it in the park, and we'll have live music and food and fun. The Kerrville Triathlon Festival is at the end of this month, and we have the Chalk Festival coming up next month in Peterson Plaza. A new event we're doing this year is a haunted ghoul pool. So what we're doing is we are turning the Olympic pool into a haunted house. It's $5 to come in. We'll do a show you a video real quick.
So this will be on the weekend.
Yes.
The thing in the park is on Halloween.
On Halloween, right. Yeah.
Well, who did this video?
Martin did. We're doing promotional videos pretty much for all of our events.
Like on the Facebook
major
page?
events to post on Facebook to get kind of some attention. He does a great job. So it's a new event. Like I said, it's a haunted house at the pool. We're going to have a kid-friendly version for the first 2 hours. And then after that, we'll ramp up the scariness level and have, front of the older kids coming in.
So
we can
wait,
kind
it'll
of
be in the pool house?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Rose is extremely excited about this event. It's her event. She's been talking about this for a long time. So, of course, we have Family Fright Night, extremely successful for us. It'll be held on Halloween. It's free. We have trick-or-treating, bounce houses, games, and another great event that we put on.
Are we going to advertise the costume contest?
Yeah.
The costume contest is always advertised on our flyers and anything we do.
Okay.
But last year we spoke about advertising the categories.
Yeah, we can do that too.
Yeah.
Because too many people came in unaware of categories.
Categories mean,
Like what we're going to give prizes for.
4.
okay,
Yeah.
you don't do that, but we could.
Yeah, in other words, so that they come, if they're thinking about doing the costume contest, they come with a theme type costume that is part of that
Category.
that they're trying to win or whatever, that they're.
Yeah, because the year before we did the family, and then last year we did not do a family.
And we did the dog, which I think that
And then we didn't.
we shouldn't do that. I
Yeah.
think we should bring the
we
family
already talked
back.
about
And, yeah.
that. Not having dog
Anyway.
ones.
No pets.
Okay.
Dogs didn't work out very
Yeah.
They didn't cooperate.
Thank you very much. No, we were glad that we only had just a few of them because they were.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Everybody's got a good dog until all the dogs are together.
That's right. Of course, we have the Holiday Lighted Parade coming up in November, kickoff to the Christmas and holiday season. We're already starting to take registrations and applications for entries. We held our youth basketball league over the summer. This was our first time to offer this league. We had 3 teams, so Connor did a great job with the timing for this one. We held our adult soccer league. We had 8 teams in our summer league, and we are going to be starting up our fall and winter league here soon as well. Our flag football team, or flag football league, is expected to have between 4 and 6 teams this fall, and that'll be ramping up here in the next couple of weeks. So we'll be offering that as well for the adults. And then also an adult kickball league is coming up soon as well. So we have things for the kids to do, and we also have some leagues for the adults to do as well. The Kerrville Sports Complex, again, soccer's, this is a kind of a list of everything that the soccer side is home to. We have 3 different soccer organizations that use it on a regular basis year-round in their fall and spring seasons. We're home to the Catholic middle school and high school, and then, of course, our department sports leagues when we can fit them in the seasons. Just kind of a quick tidbit on the effluent water used to date since January has been a little over almost 20 million gallons of effluent water. And it's very important to note that because we are saving potable water. We're using reuse to water the fields instead of using potable water. Soccer numbers year to date. Again, the 3 leagues, we've had 1,200 players in 1 tournament. We do have STISA that played last year that's looking at coming again in this December to play 2 different tournaments. Not confirmed yet, but it's in the works and it's looking favorable, so that's good that we're attracting tournaments. And then we have the fall season for soccer, which has already started. We're looking at also being home to a flag football tournament coming up next spring. They've reached out to us and looks like they might have about 75 teams or so. So soccer side's getting used as well. Baseball, softball side of the complex. 509 tournament teams to date this year by DBAT. Their goal is 1,000 teams. I think they will meet that. They took kind of the summer off for tournaments, and then they're ramping back up this month with kind of the weekend tournament schedule, as you can see on the right. That's what they have planned out. Whether or not they make kind of is up in the air, but that's what they are recruiting as of now. And they also offer the programming during the week. Okay, Kerrville Shriner Park. I wanted to give you some statistics on some of the growth that we've had. So in 2000, and let's see if you can see the day use. The orange bar is kind of where we are year to date on 2019. As you can see, the growth continues to grow at this park. Our target is kind of the brown mark, and I think we might fall a little bit short there for this year. I think we're a little bit advantageous when we were budgeting, but this park is already overall in the black pretty significantly, so we can cover any deficits that we have.
What does that mean, 03 and 05?
03 and that's taken from our business plan graph, so it's tied to another document.
Oh, okay.
Our annual passes as well. We had a big spike in 2015, but since then they've kind of tapered off, and then they've continually increasing as well. Our RV and tent site growth is listed here as well. We are again, you can see we're trending upwards in our revenue and our reservations for RV sites in addition to our tent sites. So that's extra revenue that we're capturing here as well. We're really on the market for our RV sites and kind of on the tour. Tina's doing a good job of going to the RV shows and getting into that industry and really getting our marketing out for this park. And then here's one for the park cabin, the ranch house, and the mini cabin. As you can see, we have more mini cabins than we do anything else as far as the facilities, but those are extremely popular. People like to come to the park and use the mini cabins, kind of glamp. They're not ready for tent sites yet. They don't have an RV, but they want to go and get away. So we have that accommodation for them, and those are pretty popular. And again, these numbers are year to date. We are not at the end of our fiscal year, so we do intend to expect to surpass last year's numbers as far as our revenue. And then this is kind of a snapshot of our revenue for the other city parks, excluding Kerrville Shriner Park. So if you rent Louise Hayes Park, or if you rent Carver Park, or whatever, that captures here. And as you can see, since 2014, we have grown significantly with our rentals. We've marketed them more. We've gotten the information out to the public, let them know that they can rent these for their private events, and it's really taken off. So those numbers are trending upwards as well. I did want to show you this slide. We are working with the City Council, and the Kerrville 2050 plan is working with the Doyle neighborhood to make some improvements. And part of that discussion was some things that they asked us to do at Carver Park, which we have done, with the exception of the one that's in blue. We updated the spray ground sign, and we've added some park signs. We added some grills. We power washed all those tables over there. We scarified the concrete court so it's not so slippery when they play basketball. We moved the rocks that are here in the bottom left corner so that there's a cemetery on the left side of this photo that you can't see. That's not city operated, it's not city owned, but the access is through our park. So we moved those rocks to allow closer parking. We did some kind of cleanup, and then we're adding 3 shade structures that are very similar to what we have at the pool over by the spray ground because there's limited shade over there. So we're adding those. Actually, the site work's being done this week. If you go over there, that's what we're doing. And then we have tables that are going to be coming in as well. So that's some improvements that we've made at Carver.
They not ask for shade structures by the playground?
They did. So
Yeah.
what we've priced those, and we can't afford at this point in our budget to put a shade structure over the playground. But what we can do, we can add trees. At this point, I mean, it's going to take years for them to grow, but
Right.
adding a shade structure right there is not something that we were able to do.
I'm just talking about a shade structure for people that are watching their kids.
Right.
Yeah.
Not necessarily for the,
They have to stand.
That's what she's talking about.
you know.
There's
Yeah.
some.
That's a really big tree there, over there, close to it.
Yeah.
And people will bring their own chairs and things and just sit under there and watch their kids play.
Okay.
And the
Yeah.
kids are kind of oblivious to it.
Well, that's what
being
I'm saying.
inside.
You know, not a shade structure for the whole park, just for the people watching.
Yeah,
Well,
and you can't
and
see
that-
it in this picture, but there's are a couple of covered pavilions to the
Oh, okay.
right that people
Okay.
will go and they'll sit under that, and then
Yeah.
you can also sit under the
But I
pavilion right
usually
there in the shade, and you have a great view for your children. So that's the end of my director's report, unless anybody has any questions.
Thank you.
I know that was a lot, but we do a lot, so
We do.
wanted to make sure you guys are in the loop on what we're doing.
We're about ready to ask for nothing.
Yeah.
Right?
Anybody have any questions of Ashley before we move on?
I just want to say thanks. When I first moved to Kerrville some years back, the parks were the parks. They didn't do hardly anything. It was just the park. And in the last recent years that I've kind of been involved here and gotten more into the know-how of everything, y'all have done tremendous in adding so much activity to all the parks and being aware that the community needs this kind of stuff. So thank y'all very much.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure. It's what we enjoy doing. It's what we're here for. I think, a lot of the major park improvements that we've done over the past several years have been the very first step into that. And, Louise Hayes Park was redeveloped. We have the River Trail. Now that we have these great parks, it's time to program them. And that's kind of the phase that we're on. So,
Well, and like you said, people said there's nothing for kids to do in Kerrville. If you could make just a list of all these things.
We have it in a magazine.
Well, I know we have it. I know we have it in a magazine, but people that don't take the newspaper and people that don't pick up those magazines really don't know, and because they're too busy chasing all their kids around.
Well,
But if you,
Yeah.
go ahead. No, I was going to say, if you could put a giant list on Facebook, I think that would really, the whole
Social
kit and
media?
caboodle. Because those people that do not take the newspaper, people that do not go into restaurants that have the magazine sitting there for people to pick up and whatever, will be on Facebook. And they'll go, good grief, look at all this, I didn't know we had this.
Well, the other thing is through the schools as well. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's always hard because they're real picky about what they allow in with the departments and things like that.
We work with KISD most of the time whenever we have flyers for our events. We send those to the schools. I mean, we're out there printing 1,000 flyers to send to one school, and then they're really good about, kids have like Thursday folders, and they'll put them in Thursday folders. We do
What about Ingram School and?
we do that, and we do Fredericksburg, and we do Comfort.
Oh, good. Okay.
So I'm trying to think about, are there places in your parks where you have like bulletin board or signage where you could have like a poster size of the events for your fiscal year? Like to have that long list and the dates. I don't know if
That's
you've
impressive.
thought of something like that. So it's in the park and you have,
Yeah,
it's
no.
a possibility, like if you already have some signage places available, that you have a poster size.
We
one.
could use it as the artwork under the bridge.
Yeah.
all of our posters.
The list of activities.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
Just
too,
little
'cause we're
flowers around
actually
it.
looking at some kiosks to put up in the parks for that very purpose, to advertise our
Yeah.
programming.
Mm-hmm, yeah. And you know, if you're having to change them all the time with all the different flyers, that's kind of hard. But if you do have one major list, that might be something that you can look at.
You know where else? Right there at Kerrville Shriner Park, where you have to punch in your key code.
Mhm.
You know, people are right there,
Yeah,
up close. You know, and
that's a great idea.
Yeah, some of the trailheads.
Mm-hmm.
I second Rosa's comments, though. In the we've been here for 20 years, and in the last handful of years, I've seen a real improvement in the parks.
Oh,
And thank you and your staff for doing that.
it's astounding. Yeah,
We have a great team.
It really
Very
is.
important to have a good team.
it really
Thank
is
you.
astounding what y'all done.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about the fall activities and see how we can support some of this excellent work that you're doing as a board. And so I think Rosa, Courtney, and Connor are going to speak. Or are you going to speak about it?
I'll introduce and I'm gonna ask them to fill in on details.
Okay.
So I think I sent you guys all this list of you know, liaison responsibilities and things a couple of months ago. But we really wanted to concentrate on what we have coming up now. So we have the River Roadster. It's in a couple of days. So as far as the planning for that event, there's not a whole much left to do. But Connor, is there anything else that we need for the event, day of the event that you need help with?
I've already talked to Rose about about the cars already, and they're going to bring 4, correct?
4, yes.
4.
We'll have them down there by 3
Besides
o'clock.
That's practically about it. It's hopefully, I've already talked to David Clark, and David Clark said it should just run smoothly and after we get everything situated and ready to go. So I don't think there's much left to do for that.
If any of y'all know anybody that has cars or vehicles, I think at this point we're really looking for people to bring their cars to our event to make it more successful. So
that's this Saturday. What time is it?
It'll start at
4. Yeah. But going forward for the future too, if you're interested in this event and helping us put together and plan this one, let us know. Haunted Ghoul Pool, the ones in gray I think we kind of got covered, but we'll always take extra help. Haunted Ghoul Pool, I think we have covered. The Family Fright Night, we have covered. Light the Island is something else that Courtney is working on. She's working on drafting a request for proposals for the lights to see if we can even afford a company to come out and put up the lights on Tranquility Island, how many we can get for our budget to kind of go from there. But I think what she really needs help with is really raising funds and sponsorships for this program. Is there anything else you want to add?
Do you have a proposal? Like a sponsorship proposal or?
We're still working on that.
Okay, so as soon as you get it, send it out and.
Yeah. So the goal of that event, or not, it's not an event, it's a experience, is for us to eventually light Tranquility Island, the cypress trees along from the bridge to bridge. It's going to take phasing, we know, because it's very expensive. We tried last year and it was a little bit underwhelming. So this year we would love to have somebody come out and do the work for us, because the staff time alone and the budget to wrap the trees it's pretty expensive. So we're going to see what we get. But if not, we do have a budget, and then we'll purchase the lights ourselves and get to work on the project. But the more money we have, the more lights we can get.
When
so.
you say underwhelming, though, it was interesting because it was the first time I had noticed the first year that we had wrapped any of those trees. Mm-hmm. And it's like you go through there and you're like, and you see immediately the potential. Mm-hmm. And so I think that, by doing 1 or 2 trees to start, I think that was a great idea, because a lot of people, I can just see all these people coming to just walk Tranquility Island.
Yeah.
Because it's lit like that. So
yeah. And we've got a little committee that's working together with Courtney on this, and we've thrown around do we try to light more? Do we just do one really, really well and just kind of show people this is the potential of what we can do? We don't want to copy Johnson City, but we're looking for that kind of caliber and that quality. Tight wraps, a lot of lights. Not 3 feet between each strand. We want to put on a quality experience.
Did that for a few years.
Well, and I think that they're, just walking on the river, they're from, say, Riverside Nature Center out and back or whatever. I mean, what a cool thing with the, to do with your kids or your family or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Do we have anybody here that wants to work with Courtney on, you know, design and ideas and.
I can help a little bit. I'm really swamped at work, and so, but I would like to see this happen, so.
I can too. I think I've got a couple of groups that I belong to that might want to add to this.
Cool. Thank you. Okay, holiday lighted parade. I think we are all set for, unless anybody's just specifically wants to help with this event. Running home for the holidays, 5K. This is one of our new events that Connor's putting on for us.
I think I can help with that one.
Linda?
The lighted parade, do you still need the vehicles for the beginning? Okay.
Oh, yes.
Got it.
Oh, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Sounds like your name was already on it.
Yeah. But Rose, we will find judges, so you don't have to run from one thing to the next.
Yeah, y'all do that.
Okay, so we've got some 5K. Mother Son Dance, again, new event. The community's been asking for this one since we do Daddy Daughter forever.
That's cute.
So if anybody would like to help us plan this event, we'll use some takers.
I'll help with that.
Okay. And then Daddy Daughter Dance, anybody would like to help us with the planning and setup and all that.
Do y'all do those in themes or?
We have in the past. We kind of went away from that, just because it's easier to decorate if you don't have to get a new theme every year. We can kind of reuse stuff, kind of cut down on the budget. But yeah, we're not opposed to it.
I will help again with the Daddy Daughter. That was fun to be there. So
Great. Okay. That's all I have.
The running home for the holidays, would it be feasible to put run walk?
Oh yeah, it'll be a run. You don't have to run. We're just trying to come up with a cute name.
move home.
Come back home.
Move home for the holidays.
So, and that'll be on the river trail.
Great use of the river trail.
Yeah. Okay. That's all I have.
Okay, well, I just want to remind everybody on the board to make sure that you get involved in some of the events, some ways, because that's one of our responsibilities as a board member is to be involved in these projects. So,
When's our next meeting? The 12th, right?
Yes.
December 12th.
December 12th.
Oh, it's my 60th birthday. I know.
It's until 50, you said, right?
Yeah, I know.
We're having a meeting to celebrate it.
I know.
That's funny.
Okay, so are there any things that you want to add for that December meeting? Does anybody want to talk about? And did you want to have any conversation about the year-long walking or moving or fitness or?
No, well, I gotta.
No, for the next meeting. Do you want to have it on there or no?
Maybe. Do I have to commit to something right now?
No.
Yeah, let me think about it.
Okay.
I got a lot on my plate right now.
I know you do. Okay, are there any announcements of community interest? Anything that you want to?
We are using the trailhead at the Designate Center to do our second annual cancer walk on October the 5th. So if anyone wants to come out, it's totally free for cancer survivors. Monetary donations from participants. All the funds that are raised stay local, so to help cover costs of anyone going through treatment that might need rent or food or gas or those types of things that are not covered through other agencies.
That's good.
When is that?
October 5th.
What time?
Starts at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Anything else? Do I have a motion for adjournment?
Done.
Second.
And we are adjourned.
Thank y'all very much.
Just go to